Aloha no kako. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode with me. I'm going to be talking about a very, very important part in the filming process, and that is post-production. You might ask yourself, what is post-production? Post-production is very important. It's actually the last stage of what you're going to do when you're in the filming process. And what that involves is editing and putting your story together. But before we talk about editing, I want to let you know a little bit more about organizing and media management, because that is a very important part, because we're in a digital world and everything is about files. You need to keep organized. If you look at your desktop or if you look at your cell phone and you don't know where your files are and you're just loading your phone and you're just filling up your memory, then you don't know anything about media management. And I think you need to actually look more into that and how you're organizing your files. Media and media management is so important. You're not going to find that out until you're trying to look for files, and it's very stressful when you lose footage or when you delete footage accidentally and you can't recover it, right? So to eliminate that from happening, I'm trying to help you to grow and to not stress out, but make sure you know where your files are at. After every filming shoot that you do, you grab your files and you put it in a folder and you store it, right? And you never fill your desktop up, or if you're using a laptop, never fill your desktop or you fill that computer up. You always have an external hard drive, or if you're going to send it to the cloud or whatever you're going to do and however you're going to do it nowadays. But as long as you know you have a secondary place of putting it and it's a safe place. So right now I'm actually just sharing with you things that is very important that you should know before you start editing, and that is your media management. Very, very important. And then also making sure that where you're going to store your elements, where you're going to store your media, very important. You also want to have two areas, because if a hard drive goes down, which they do go down, you want to have a backup. Organization is very important, and storing your media, pictures, photos, music, all that stuff needs to actually have a backup to it. Just in case anything happens, you really thank me that I told you this. Now going into post-production, for me, I was an editor before I really became a director and a filmmaker. And when I edit, it really helps me. And I would actually recommend it to a lot of people that before you start filming anything, try and edit something. That way you're going to have the feel of what things you're going to need to capture, because the editing part of it is what builds your story. And if you don't have the enough elements to build your story, you're not going to have a successful film, because you're going to be missing a lot of parts. You're going to have to go back and film. But when you're editing, you already get the idea of what the director is going to need, what kind of angles you're going to need, and how to actually put the story together in your mind before you even film it. So it's very important, and I hope this is going to help you. And for me, I'm very excited because I love post-production. Post-production is where I started from, right? It's editing, and it's the most exciting part. As an editor, you're actually in the director's seat as well. You and the director have to meet in line, because you're actually creating the story that he filmed, right? And if he doesn't have enough elements, you as a film editor needs to figure out of how you're gonna treat a scene with the elements that you have, or with the media that you have and the footage that he shot. So it's very interesting, and you have to take direction well. When you're editing, there's a beginning, middle, end, right? For me, the best part that I do and edit my projects is I actually start a trailer. A trailer is a short version of your film of whatever it's going to look like, and you're going to grab the best pieces of your entire film, however long it is, and you're going to make a 30-second to a minute of your film. This is actually, capture your audience, to make them interested in wanting to see it. And how you do that is you create your trailer. So you grab all the best pieces. Then it gives you confidence that, wow, you have something. Your film deserves to be edited. Your film needs to be seen, because you pick the best sound bites and best images from your film. And you're like, wow, this is something. And when you create that, that's what the audience is going to expect. So whenever you see a trailer of, whether it be Marvel Comics, whatever, they pick the best couple seconds of each scene, so that when you go into the theater seats, they're expecting that. And if you let them down, nobody's going to want to watch that film, or they're going to be like, that was like, you showed us the best parts, and then when we seen it, it really wasn't as good as the trailer. So the hardest part in editing is always your beginning of how you're going to start your film, what the look is going to look like, and then also the ending. And all that involves is style. Style is how the look of your film is going to feel. The pacing of it, so whatever that pacing or that look of your film is, it's always good to bring it out in the beginning, so that your audience are constantly used to it as you move along. You don't want to have a slow pace of a film and then in the middle you have a fast pace, and it just throws your audience off because it's not consistent. So when you're editing your film, you want to have a consistency. So whether you're going to start slow, then you're going to have action, then you're going to slow again, and action, then you give people a rhythm, right? So if you want to set the mood, or if you want to set the rhythm of your film, you have to do it in the beginning. Within the first 5 minutes, you have to set that rhythm. And what I relate the pacing of it is like music. If the drummer's off, if the keyboard's off, if the singer's off and not on tune. And just like filming, we don't say that, but there is a hidden rhythm behind of it, that we usually bring out the rhythm within the 5 minutes of the film. And that's your pacing. It gets people used to what they're going to be seeing and what they're going to be watching. There's another thing called bridging. Bridging is how do you bridge your stories together, right? So you always have, sometimes you have all these great elements and all these great sequences of story and interviews, and you're wondering to yourself, well, how am I going to get from here to there? Sometimes you have to use narration. Narration crosses it over, and what this does, it helps to bridge your stories together, and this helps the audience to know that they're going to be actually going into another subject or another scene, and it really, really helps. And just to break it down and just to make it easy for you to understand, what is the steps to editing and how do you want to go about doing it? In the beginning, you're going to do a rough cut. So you're going to grab all the major scenes that you want, you're going to drop it into your timeline. And when you get your story in order, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to actually adjust your audio. Another important step that will be added to your timeline is to add transitions, cross dissolves, or effects. Then also you're going to add in your narration. Is you want to try and bridge your stories together so that they make sense to the viewer, to your audience. And then also another fun part is that you drop the music. You find out what the mood of each scene is, and you drop the music in, and it boosts the quality of your film dramatically by just adding music and background sounds and all this stuff. It really draws out the sound. It really enhances the film. So whether you're going to have graphics or animation, that's another element that you want to put in there. Animations and graphics cost a lot of money sometimes to create. So you want to make sure that your timeline's edited so that if you really, really need this animation, you're going to pay for it and not pay for the animation in the beginning. Then you got to figure out how you're going to introduce it within your film. The next thing that you want to think about also is the text. Another thing that you're going to notice in your film is that when you create your credits or you create any kind of graphic and you have text in it, you're going to notice, or you're going to find out from other people who notice, that you misspelled something. So make sure that before your film gets released, have somebody who's an editor, like really in tune to writing, so that they can actually go over all your supers or the text that's below people's names and their titles before you share your film on big screen, because you never want it to be on big screen and then everybody picks up that something was misspelled. I just wanted to let you know that when you're editing, there's going to be many versions of it. When you're editing your trailer, there's going to be many versions of it. So don't get disappointed that it's not the version. It's kind of like, you got to look at your film as like writing a book, right? You have your first edition, second edition, And when you're editing, it comes in that forms: first draft, second draft, third draft. And also you can do a Zoom party, right? A Zoom party, you would have your good friends who are filmmakers, but maybe every 10 minutes of your film you stop it, get people's opinions about how they feel about the film. And from this honest feedback, you're going to find out for sure if you have a film. Feedback is what's going to help you grow. It's going to help you to become a greater editor. It's going to help you to be a better producer, a director, and every part of the filming process. So if you can do that, and always willing to switch gears and always willing to multitask in what you're doing, it's going to help you to be a better filmmaker. And especially in Hawaii, we always gotta make sure that even with editing, we always gotta make sure that we do everything with aloha. And that is to take care of people's images and especially their stories. So I just wanted to just take this time once again to thank you so much for your time and listening to me and my experience of what I went through. And I hope the information that I provide for you is going to be valuable information, so that when you're editing your project, it makes it a little bit easier. But until next time, my name is Keone Kealoha Alvarez from Hawaii. Ahui ho!